Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here's your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning and Merry Christmas. Today is our Christmas show. So if you're watching this morning, obviously, either you've already gotten up, opened your presents, done your thing, but you're making a very early morning of it. But we're here today on Christmas Day, just mostly to wish you a Merry Christmas and thank you for being with us throughout the year on Faith in Our Hometown. My guest this morning is Leslie Mays Eidson, who is the Communications Director for the Diocese of Springfield Cape Girardeau, one of my colleagues. And so, Leslie, thank you for joining me again this morning.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, and to you. We're just going to talk a little bit this morning. Today's kind of a lighthearted show. We're going to talk a little bit about our own Christmas memories. We're going to talk about our ways that we celebrate Christmas, some of those things, but just kind of to just wish you all and to start off this Christmas Day in a way that we hope is filled with blessings as we move forward for a wonderful holiday. We are going to be right back after this Mercy Minute. Thank you for joining us this morning.
The different bariatric surgical options here at Mercy Joplin includes laparoscopic Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy, and laparoscopic lap band placement. In addition, we also offer revisional laparoscopic surgeries for those patients that have had previous bariatric procedures but have had failures. The surgical procedure of choice will vary with different individuals, and so that's why our team will work with the patient on an individual basis to determine which procedure is the best fit for them. All three of the bariatric procedures that we offer here at Mercy Joplin have a long track record of proven safety and efficacy. The best procedure for the individual has to be a decision to be decided between the patient and the physician.
So welcome back, and thank you for joining us on this Christmas morning. Today, again, my guest is Leslie Mays Eidson, who is the Communications Director for the Diocese of Springfield Cape Girardeau. Leslie, well, how are you going to spend Christmas Day? How is it going to be special for you today?
Well, I'd like to be able to kick back after many, many weeks of Christmas. It's a beautiful time. Everybody understands that. But my Christmas seems to last 24 hours for me. By the time we go to Mass, Christmas Eve, and all moms out there probably can relate to the fact while everyone else is nestled in bed, you're feverishly doing other things. But to me, it's always been a really beautiful, quiet time for me in my own heart to welcome God into the world. Yeah. Special. I look forward to it every year. When I was younger, I thought, oh, I'd just like to sleep for a little bit, But I really cherish that time.
Yeah. It's interesting because with being a pastor and doing those things and multiple masses services and those things, I really have to say that some of my best moments where I get to just enjoy the quiet of Christmas is just after everything is over and things have quieted down, or like even after midnight Mass, as I'm laying in bed, this morning going, wow, just before I fall off to sleep, for however many hours I'm going to get, it's that quiet moment, because Christmas for me is always the quiet feast.
I agree.
Easter's kind of explosive, but Christmas is quiet.
It is.
And I just enjoy the quietness of it, and I think it was in the stillness of all that those of us who celebrate Christmas, it was in the quiet of a Christmas night.
It was, and I love it, particularly if it's if the moon's out and it's a clear night. There's something about that really takes me to God and to my family, and so I can spend those quiet hours, perhaps getting the stockings out and getting those prepared, and if I'm still awake when the first child wakes up, it used to be when they were little we'd say don't get up yet, we're not ready, but preparing coffee and breakfast and getting ready for church, I don't know, it's precious time at our household. Now when I was growing up, it was crazy. We were always in Nebraska, and there'd been a tinsel war the night before to see who could get the most tinsel on that tree in the 1960s or 70s maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, I don't know, I think it's all It's all great. And every year that goes by, it seems like it went so so quickly. And I'm like, it's Christmas again? What do you mean? I guess, I don't know. It takes on new meaning every year.
Well, you know, for us, of course, you know, we got those 4 weeks before Christmas of Advent. And I mean, for me, that's just kind of like the slow unwrapping of the present.
Oh, absolutely.
It gets me to slow down. And it gets crazy because, I mean, we got, you know, penance services and all those things, you know, and now appearing at a church near you. I mean, we get into all the craziness. And of course, even the craziness of the whole season, you know, with everybody, you know, for me, it's like, okay, now that Christmas is here, now the Christmas celebration begins.
Right. Because the Christmas season.
Yeah, it just starts. You know, and that's why we always used to have the 12 days of Christmas.
That's
I mean, you know, from Christmas to Epiphany. And then we always had the whole Christmas season. So really, you know, roughly 2 or 3 weeks, we got that time to be able to unwrap it. But everybody wants to quit and stop tomorrow.
Well, Christmas comes in around Halloween now. You know, I mean, you can, for the retail world, it starts earlier and earlier and earlier.
Right.
And as a person of faith, it's hard to take that time and just be still and try to be aware, particularly during the season of Advent. We're waiting in joyful hope. Well, if I'm conscious of that, I'm always surprised in the way that I realize I'm waiting for him, but there are a lot of different ways that he's here, present to me in a new and quiet way, which is so countercultural.
Right.
It really takes some effort. And it pays off. The dividends are huge. By the time I get to Christmas, I am just getting centered in the fact that we are welcoming Christ into the world and the implications of that.
Well, and again, that's why I think that's my challenge as a preacher during Advent,
to keep
everybody back. Come on, don't let go yet. Don't completely go there yet. Let's contemplate a little bit more how he's coming. Because let's face it, at Christmas time, we don't suddenly pretend that Jesus was never born, and it's just like, oh, surprise, you know. No, we know he was born. We know he was born in history and in time. But for us, really, the whole thing is to say, for all Christians out there of any stripe, I think, you know, part of the challenge of Christmas is to say, but how does this still matter? How is he still born for us?
Yeah.
How does this still matter in 2016, soon to be 2017? How does this matter? How does Jesus being born still have a meaning for us?
Well, and hopefully we're clamoring for that, because a lot of times God, you know, we want to take our society, we'd like to take Christ out of a lot of things, our classroom, our homes, our media, so I think Christmas takes on a new meaning. It certainly is the older I get, but it's great to see our children, when they finally get it, that it's about Christ, it's about each other. You know, my children are a little older now, and this year they've decided that it's all about the food and the family, not so much the gifts. And I said, oh, I think we finally might have done something right. Might have done something right then, but you know, it's tough. It takes you have to be intentional and deliberate about it. You know, we have to be intentional and deliberate Christians. You know, any faith denomination we belong to, it takes effort. In a world that would like to homogenize us and make us more like each other, you know, I think we really need to revel and enjoy some of our differences.
Well, you know, and I think that's been kind of fun. I know that when we first started the show around last Christmas, so we're getting close to our
anniversary.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, happy anniversary.
But when we first started last year, we talked with some of our non-Christian brothers and sisters about, you know, are they offended by our going over the top with Christmas? And universally, they all said no. You know, no. Now we want to celebrate our own holidays and do our own thing, but no, we don't mind you all going over the top with Christmas. We don't mind being wished Merry Christmas. We don't mind those things because we know that it matters to you. And I think that that's just, again, this, you know, universal good cheer that we would hope that everybody has during this time, you know, so that we can celebrate with our other folks and wish them well during this time, because they know that this is special holidays for us. We can wish them well on their holidays.
It's fascinating, and I love it, of course, as I get older, to find out, you know, it's fun to find out what other people do for Christmas. But it's uber fun for me to find out what some of my friends of other faith traditions, why they celebrate, how they celebrate. You know, I think it's wonderful, and going back to being Christian, our church does a wonderful thing in the O antiphons, I think, where we can take part in having a prayerful response and kind of a focus in those last few days leading up to Christmas.
Right. The O antiphons, just for anybody who's like wondering what we're talking about here, is basically in the daily prayer of the church, the days leading up to Christmas. There's Advent, it's got this twofold nature. In the first part of Advent, we deal with the imminent coming of Christ, at the end of time. But then, as we get into these days right before Christmas, we start dealing with all the things that were leading up to Jesus' birth. And we take all the biblical prophecies, O Key of David, all those things, all those little things that were,
Tree of Jesse.
Tree of Jesse.
We go back to Scripture. It's all rooted in Scripture.
Right. And we look at those ancient prophecies, and then we, in the daily prayer of the church, they would sing O, whatever the prophecy was, and that was the O antiphons. So they were called the O antiphons.
And they were sung.
And of course, the most famous one was O Emmanuel, O come, Emmanuel. I mean, and that's where the song comes from. So with that, each day leading up to that, you'd kind of like build the
crescendo.
Excitement. Exactly.
Yeah,
you would build it up to where it was just kind of like until finally, bang, here comes Christmas.
Yeah,
and it's kind of fun.
Here's God in the world.
Yeah.
And,
one of those fun things is the kids would also open up the little Advent calendars where they would do that, where they're different. Every day there would be a little different.
I sent my adult children actually a little thing that I had seen, because they all live somewhere else. I have one at home still, 17. But I thought, they probably won't think much of this. But, my kids all thought about it. They were like, they had such great fun filling those days. And together, if they were with their significant other, they would reveal those things every day. And it helps keep us focused and on the journey toward Christmas.
Exactly.
It makes us deliberate and intentional about the holiday.
Because let's face it, with all these things, with all these things that Lisa, God doesn't need them.
Right.
We're the ones who need them.
Need it.
We need them. And so all those things that we use, and of course, Catholics, we smells and bells, everybody, okay? That's us. I mean, we had to come up with, what God, always food. But I mean, I even think about, how the Christmas cribs came about with St. Francis, was just when he wanted people to have a more deep understanding of what that mystery was like when God became a human being, when God became flesh. And so that was when the first Christmas cribs got going, the Christmas manger scenes.
And it's no mistake that Christ entered the world as a child, as an infant.
Yeah.
I mean, there's much
one
messaging
of
there.
the things my kids in Carthage get to do every year is, the CMCs, the Vietnamese priests and brothers over, and they just recently went through a name change. So we've got to figure all that out, and everybody get used to it. But they have the Christmas light display. I mean, major Christmas light display over there.
Beautiful.
And then a live nativity scene that last week. Well, my high school students and my kids from Carthage love that live nativity because they get to be in it. And they suddenly start looking at things a little bit differently when they take on the role of a shepherd, or they take on the role of Joseph, or they take on the role of Mary. We do not stick any real babies in the scene because, it's kind of cold once in a while, and we don't want to do that. But they get into it a completely different way because they're looking at those things. So I'm thinking about all the different pageants in the other Christian churches, and those things to do those things are really important because they get everybody to just look at things a little bit a different way. At any rate, we're here talking about Christmas. Merry Christmas. We'll be right back after this short break. Stick around.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
Well, again, Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining us this morning. If you have joined us, I'm absolutely amazed that you're taking some of your Christmas morning to actually be here watching TV and with us. So I just want to make sure that we wish all of you a very Merry Christmas and know that you're in our prayers. We thank you for joining us. My guest again this morning is Leslie Mays Eatson, who's the Communication Director for the Diocese of Springfield Cape Girardeau, and she's kind enough to join me this morning for this show. But we are talking about Christmas and how we as human beings need our build up to it. So tell me, Christmas memories. What are some of your best Christmas
gosh.
memories? Because I mean, these things get hold of us and they deal with us our whole lives. So what are some of your best Christmas
And it's interesting too, they just kind of come on you like a rush at the weirdest of times. Well, first of all, when I was younger, it snowed in southern Missouri. It doesn't always snow in southern Missouri any longer.
But when it does, it's great.
And my maternal grandparents lived in Nebraska, so there was always a road trip involved. Think Griswolds, not too far off the mark. There were a lot of Jell-O molds. There was a lot of tinsel. Of course, everybody dressed then. I don't know how your family was. My grandfather was a banker, and of course, starched shirt, suit. His idea of dressing down was to take his jacket off, leave the tie and the shirt, and put a cardigan on. So you knew Christmas was coming around when Grandpa put his cardigan on, and there might have been lots of Chex Mix, you know, the old kind that you put in the oven and cook for hours.
Oh yeah.
Popcorn balls, stringing of the cranberries.
Oh, you guys actually did the stringing of the popcorn and the cranberries.
Absolutely. Well, what we didn't eat.
Yeah.
My Aunt Marge was kind of in charge to make sure that we would squire those along. But oh no, there was, and the movies and some of the programs. You know, the Andy Williams Christmas special, and but most of my memories are around church, family, and food.
Yeah. We always, when I was in high school, we would always, I would sing the 7:30 Mass, okay? And then as a seminarian, we'd go back and serve for the midnight Mass. So we always did Christmas Eve at our house between those things. So we would always do Christmas Eve. And now as a little kid, we had other gimmicks and things that they did, but I'm just saying, but from the time I was in my teens, every Christmas Eve I'd have Mass at 7:30, we'd sing, and then we'd go home and we'd have our Christmas dinner, Christmas Eve dinner, and then we'd open presents and stuff like that on Christmas Eve, and then we'd go back to church for midnight Mass.
Oh yeah.
And so those were, I mean, always at bookends. You know, then on Christmas morning, of course, we get up and you know, I usually go back again for at least one other one. But then a lot of times on Christmas, we would go to different, you know, family members or an aunt and uncle or you know, other side of the family. You know, do a few things there. We'd always, you know, gather with whoever happened to be gathering on Christmas Day. But our family Christmas was always Christmas Eve.
So Christmas Day, what'd you do of a morning then? Besides Mass?
Not really, not much. We big breakfast. Oh yeah, big breakfast on Christmas, and then you know, and then go back to Mass again. I mean, you know, that was always so we'd always. It depended on what I had to do at church and those things. And this is now I'll tip my full hand here.
That's okay.
But Christmas for me is always special because this is also now my 30th anniversary this year. So the 27th. Which is again, you know, on the second, you know, day of Christmas. Okay, you know, third day of Christmas.
Isn't it the feast of Saint Stephen?
No, that's 26. 26 is Stephen. 27th is feast of Saint John.
That's right.
Okay, which is again one of my patron saints, and so I chose to be ordained on that day. And the bishop agreed with me.
Gab.
No, me.
And
who, John?
John.
John the Evangelist. Yeah, of course. And so I asked to be ordained on that day.
Share the stage with John the Evangelist.
Or John get to share it with me? No.
I don't know which way it goes, but one of you sharing.
we're sharing. It's all good. Right. And so that for me was always, and so when actually, even as a young priest now, especially with my family, I mean, most of my immediate family's all passed away now, but we would always, we would, because I'd be always working on Christmas.
Sure.
So Mom and Dad would come and spend Christmas with me, and then we'd all, you know, a lot of times I'd go home then, a couple days after Christmas or whatever, and spend that time with them to celebrate the anniversary. So those were, I mean, you know, those were in more contemporary years to do those, and those are always tied in. That memory of the anniversary is tied in with that because again, it was a wonderful time of the year to be ordained.
Oh yeah.
You know, just because I mean, the church where I grew up is kind of like St. Peter's, where I'm from now, big old Gothic church.
Beautifully decorated.
Always beautifully decorated because Gothic churches just look so good. I mean, and, you know, I know that show me a church that looks ugly at Christmas, but I mean, you know, none of them. They all look good, but I mean, but the Gothic churches. I mean, you get these big, tall Christmas trees and lights, and you know, especially for midnight, you know, just everything sparkling in the dark, and it's just I mean,
well, and it's as we talked about before, that Christmas season, those days after Christmas to January 1st, when we honor Our Lady. Those are beautiful days. beautiful days in the church, but certainly in our lives. I think if we're intentional about them and realize what's happening, those precious days.
And there's just like one little present right after another. You just can't, you know, those
Oh,
12
yeah.
days of Christmas are just,
Yeah.
you know, and again, I just my job as a Catholic priest is to again hold everybody back so that they don't just like, you know, do those things. I love the old thing of, you know, like a present every day through the 12 days of Christmas or something like that, even if it was something simple. But to just keep that spirit alive as we go through it. Now we've got the Sundays and, you know, whenever, but Christmas this year is actually, you know, Sunday, so we're here. But it's you know, just watching those days, these next few days are going to be just like fun to see how they kind of unfold and what we can do to keep the celebration going, rather than, you know, I always tell my people, it's just like, I don't care if you put your lights up, you know, after things get fine, but just remember that you can't take them down until at least the Feast of the Epiphany, until until January the 6th.
At least.
And I got to tell you, I've been making some headway in
Good.
10 years here in Joplin.
That's great.
This is my 10th Christmas here, and people are finally now saying to me, they're at least starting to admit, Father Jay, my tree's still up, my tree's still up, my tree's still up.
You
It's
know,
just like,
if we pay attention to the readings, you know, you wouldn't take it down. I mean, you know, society kind of pressures like, oh, Christmas is over.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just like,
on
we're
to
done,
the next
we're done.
holiday, which is what, Valentine's Day, Mardi Gras. I guess what depends on what you celebrate, but yeah, I mean, they're beautiful days. And of course, after the Epiphany, we celebrate the baptism of our Lord.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it just keeps going for us. We're blessed.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know,
a fun part of the
It
tradition
is,
to
it's
do some of those
wonderful.
things. You know, and people say, you know, it's just, well, you know, where's all that in the calendar? And it's just like, well, yeah, I know we helped construct the calendar, but we constructed it in such a way that we get big times to celebrate, you know, and those are carryovers from earlier ages.
Oh yeah.
But I think that they, in our day and age, they still play a very important
Oh my
part.
gosh, I think they're vital.
Because it gets us to realize that the special things are supposed to last. You know, we live in such a disposable society. Everything's over and it's done with it, you know, quick. But now, you know, when you get to sink into something for 12 days.
Well, I don't know if you saw the article in Time magazine, but you know what the attention span is of the average U.S. adult? 8 seconds.
I've forgotten.
Yeah, it's
No,
gone.
it's
8
gone.
seconds. A guppy has 9 seconds of attention span. So for us to,
we get less than a
you know,
guppy now.
Yes,
Wow.
less than a guppy. A fish will look at you longer than we will look at
And
anything.
we look at each other.
But I mean, it's certainly this, you know, that culture of immediacy. What's next? What's next? I mean, scrolling through our smartphones, whatever. Yeah, plugged in. Spending a day at prayer, Christmas. I mean, spending a season is almost unfathomable for many of our neighbors, myself included. So it's good to stay immersed in that and realize what the church is saying and praying about and still singing, and let all that just get into you. All the, like the sights, the smells, the songs,
sounds.
all of it. I
Yeah.
think it's beautiful. And
I could
I appreciate
just
you
get-
reminding me, because I'm going to do that.
There you go. Say
I think
12
it's-
days. We got 12 days starting now.
I think it's
all
good. I'm glad. I'm encouraged to know that you encourage your people to stay in the moment,
Oh, yeah.
because it's tough. We're pulled so many different directions,
Yeah.
just
And
so
again,
quickly.
You know, and again, it's just like, I always love it when people come into the church and their jaws drop, and there's just that hushed silence. And you can hear it, and you can always hear it. You can always hear the silence, because it's just like,
Yeah.
and I love it, especially when visitors come, and like you know, like last night, you know, I always hear shot. And of course, you know, I always laugh, because the big joke around here is that you know, everybody says, well, when is midnight mass? And of course, midnight mass at St. Peter's is at midnight. Okay.
11:59
You know,
p.m.
and so we just do it, and I mean, you know, and people will. I mean, we got a lot of non-Catholics who still come to midnight mass, because
Now,
they're
do
just
you
like,
start music earlier?
Yeah,
a
we
lot
do.
of
We
times
start music.
people
Yeah,
will start.
we always
well,
start
that's
music a little
beautiful
early.
time too.
you know, Phil Festival of carols and things like that early, and then it usually starts, you know, and you know the choir does it's just a phenomenal job. They do so well, and of course they've been working for months and months and months.
Sure.
And so, you know, last night was just absolutely glorious.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
it
as
smells
it always
different
is. Always
at
is.
Christmas. It's beautiful.
So, yeah. Now, so, you know, you mentioned, you know, Jell-O molds, you know, those kinds of things, the food. We used to have the, you know, the black cherries with the cream cheese and the Jell-O. That was one my mom always. My mom didn't make a lot of Jell-O molds, but I'm here to take. I've got it. That's good. But what was always your Christmas feast? What was the Christmas feast at your house?
Well, my dad, his father was a meat cutter, and so we always had these beautiful cuts of meat. We were very fortunate.
Like roasts, like standing rib roasts, and all those things. Oh wow!
You know, it was always they would always have some kind of beef, and my family never hunted. We weren't hunters, so we'd have beef. We usually have turkey or chicken, you know, hens or something, but.
We never did the turkey. Turkey was always Thanksgiving, but for Christmas we always did ham, and always, you know, turkey roast on the night before.
Oh,
at
yeah.
any rate,
and again the smells of the season.
My gosh,
I knew.
just amazing.
Oh, just the garlic
but the
and
feast. That's really what we want you to do today. We just want you to go out and feast, enjoy it all,
get it all
do
over
all those things. I hope that you're gonna just have the best time today.
Yes.
We're gonna be right back after this Mercy Minute. Okay.
Find out how a Mercy doctor can take care of you. At Mercy, your life is our life's work. Quality, safety, and an exceptional patient experience. Mercy is grateful to be recognized as one of the top 15 health systems in the United States. At Mercy, your life is our life's work.
Well, again, thank you for joining us this morning. Merry Christmas to you. My guest this morning has been Leslie Mays-Eatson, one of my colleagues, so thanks for joining us on a Christmas day.
Merry Christmas.
But indeed, we just are glad to spend this time with you, celebrating a feast that obviously is very important to all of us of the Christian faith. And for any of you that may not celebrate, just know that this is the reason for why we do all the crazy things we do at Christmas time. It's about this relationship that we have with this person of Jesus. And it's our privilege as Christians to be able to share that with all of you and as Catholic Christians in our particular way. Blessings to all of our Christian brothers and sisters out there who are watching. To our non-Christian brothers and sisters, thank you for allowing us to share the joy of our celebration with you. It is wonderful to do the show. We're coming up on our first anniversary of doing the show, and I'm glad that we can appreciate this time with each other. This is Faith in Our Hometown. Come back and see us again, and Merry Christmas.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.